Okay, welcome everybody. Just hop on in. We'll get started here in just a second. All right, welcome everybody. Lots of great names here. Some people I recognize, a lot of new names. This is exciting. Okay. So for Yuri and Yuri's awareness, we're just going to let people queue up here for a minute and then we'll get started. So it takes a few moments for people to load into Zoom.
Yeah, sure, thanks.
You are welcome. So for those of you who are just joining, we're going to wait just maybe a minute at most for people to get in live here to hop onto this webinar, and then we'll get started. Okay, looks like we're just about there. Okay, so I think we ought to get started, guys. Okay, great. Well, welcome everybody. My name is Joey Spooner. I am the Vice President for Community Development and Product Management here at Kanban University. And today I'm joined by Yuri Kuden and Yuri Lapin. Both of them work for actually own a company called Release Management that has developed a really interesting add-on for Jira that we like here at Kanban University. It's called Advanced Kanban Boards. It's an app add-on for those of you who live in the Jira space. This is one of those things you add on to Jira to make it even better. And so I want to get them to share a little bit about this product, how it works in their environment, how it can work for your environment. And we'll go on from there. So Yuri, would you like to introduce yourselves and kind of tell us more about this product and how it works for people in the Jira space?
Thank you very much. Thank you, Jill. And first of all, before we will move to introduction, so I would like to thank you everybody for joining. So it's a pleasure for us that you are interested in the topic which we would like to speak. And especially thanks to Kanban University, so for providing great opportunity to be there and for providing this great possibility to speak in such great audience. So thank you very much. And let's meet each other. My name is Yuri. I'm more than 18 years in IT, and I started my journey as a Java developer. But at some moment of time, I decided that it's much more interesting to build teams and work in for highest level and move to project program management direction. And since that moment of time, I have been working with different companies, and I had different experience. And also, I had a chance to work as Agile Lean transformation consultant and helped companies to adopt Agile Lean mindset and help them with transition. In addition to release management, I'm still working in the fields on director position and helping to manage complex engineering initiatives across multiple divisions. And during the whole my journey, I have been seeing how Kanban was increasing influence on mindset of people in all the companies which I have been working in. And also, I strongly believe that Kanban has a very bright future because it resonates a lot with current needs and current challenges. So then, I got to be a Kanban fanatic, and also it was one of the reasons why we started building our application to help people with Kanban adoption in context of Atlassian toolset. So thanks, Yuri. Over to you.
Yeah, hi everyone and welcome. Another Yuri. So you can make a wish sitting between the Yuris. Basically 2 years older, so 2 years more experience. Nearly the same background, came from .NET, ASP.NET World, technical background, all the way to project program management, and then engineering leadership. Basically had experience running outsourcing business for one of the companies, also taking the COO VP R&D role for a small startup of 600 people. And throughout all my career, I was mostly working with geo-distributed team. That was a challenge, but also basically an opportunity. So tooling was a key in my job, in my experience. So I had like very vast experience with different tools, and Atlassian was one of them, de facto standard now within kind of IT. So this actually well paid off during the COVID times and even after, as we're all in hybrid mode now. Okay, so that's a bit about myself, a bit of the mechanics of the webinar today. We're going to have a couple of slides to put the scene that we're going to co-present with Yuri. And then we're going to switch to the live demo right after it. Okay, so one of us going to be presenting, another one going to be right there, able to answer your questions. So please don't wait till the end of presentation to ask your questions. Do it right away using the chat function in Zoom. One of us will be able to answer as we go on, and at the end of it, we're going to have a designated Q&A session where we can cover some of the questions we'd rather do by voice, or some other questions that you guys are going to have. So please, please, please ask questions. Over to you, Yuri.
Yeah, thank you very much. Soon we meet each other. So, and yeah, by the way, regarding comments that my chair is moving, I'm just moving because I have standing table, so that, yeah, I will try to be as stable as possible during this presentation. Yeah, thanks. So let's meet our main character, and our main character in this presentation is John. So maybe you can find some characteristic in John in yourself, in your friends. So John is also working in software development industry, so for 15 years. And actually, he is leading engineering teams, and his company is developing software for pharmaceutical industry. And to be honest, everything good with John. Everything is stable. John life is very prescriptive, like releases a plan, sprints running one after another one, grooming, planning, daily demo, retro. After that, Christmas vacation, Eastern holidays. So stability, in other words.
Good, but obviously during the last couple of all hands, Joe noticed that company is slowly losing market share, not much, but still losing. And he was quite surprised to see that some of the competitors are actually delivering more. He used to work for some of them, so he knows how things are done there. He knows how things are done here in this company, and he was very surprised actually to see that they were able to come to new territories faster or to deliver new regulatory requirements faster. So he was really, really engaged, trying to understand what's going on there, how they managed to do it.
And actually, it was a very great challenge, and John and his team start figuring out what was the key success factor, why it's happening like that. So they start meeting previous colleagues, friends, and also for inviting all of them to some pubs, and took very hard beer challenge to figure out what's going on. And one of the key findings was that key success factor was Kanban. And what is the most important, that Kanban has been implemented on all levels of organization, not only on team level. And it helped company to first understand and after that eliminate waste, start working with smaller batches. And after that, it would be possible to increase overall efficiency, decrease time to market. And again, with all the small steps cumulatively at all levels to be more efficient than competitors. And on long run, it provided a very significant competitive advantage. So that actually was the finding.
Yep. Also, John was working in this company for some time, so he really had an idea that if he want to do anything, any change like that to software development life cycle, is going to take a bit of time to get all the approvals and basically to get all the buy-in from the people. So what he decided to do together with his team actually is to try to experiment on their own level, because yes, they're part of the bigger value chain as a group, but they're also autonomous enough to actually try something like this. So the guys were sitting together and said, okay, let's try with us and see how it goes. And if it's going to be successful, then potentially we can bring it further.
So time to act. And of course, to avoid mistakes, the first step was getting proper Kanban education. And of course, one of the best courses on the market was Scrum Better with Kanban by Kanban University. So this is why we all here. And during the course, in addition to all other useful things, John learned that improvements better to be done in collaboration with the team. It's not like one hero job, and team spirit and team experience can bring synergies. 1 + 1 more than 2 for sure. And also experiments is the good way to improve everything. And maybe some experiments will be non-successful, but still after doing multiple experiments, it's only one sustainable way to get improvement. So then it was very important finding, and actually it was one of the fundamental things to start the next steps. Also, in addition to training, John met a great community of people with absolutely different skill set, and all of them were very open to help and support. And actually this fact will help in the future to reach success. So actually everything was set up, education, community, so time to start.
So John did a small workshop with the guys from the team to understand, okay, how they can get started, what's going to be the quick gains, what's going to be short midterm objectives on their way, and what the experiments they want to do. They were unpleasantly surprised to see that apparently Jira is lacking a great support for the Kanban practices, especially if you put it on Kanban boards. And the whole company was using Jira, so there is no way to escape from it. So they were trying to find some ways how to basically adopt existing tooling, but start still using the Kanban practices kind of throughout to achieve the gain. So yeah, they got a bit puzzled because coming back to the whiteboard wasn't an option. Yeah, so what they did,
they asked for power of community, and community helped them. And actually one of the guys in community suggested to look at the partner section on the website, and here was a tool, our tool, Advanced Kanban Boards, that enabled all this transformation and supported it from tooling perspective. And actually, yeah, it helped John and his team to start moving on.
Yep. So basically what they did is they agreed with Jira admin in this big corporate to put a trial version of the app, which is like a 30 days free trial on the instance where they can start running the experiments. That was just enough because they really want to focus on the PI that they had coming next with the 2 sprints on it. So that was a good momentum opportunity to try it over the 2 sprints and then show that within a single designated PI they can make a difference and then see how where it's going to bring them.
So actually, hold my beer was the first word of the John before starting the first experiment. So then actually, let's move from presentation and to Jira and see how the John was progressing together with his team towards a new bright future, and what challenges did they met on their way. So I'm just kind of moving from presentation to Jira, and John and his team were using very standard Jira Agile board like this one. So it was a few statuses like to do, in progress, testing done, user stories. Also, it was backlog planning section, and in this section it was possible to plan sprints, assign story points, like very standard and very familiar. So maybe you're using, if you're using Scrum, of course, maybe you're using the same boards, maybe your friends are using, maybe you have seen the same board on one of your previous working place or with some clients. So yeah, very standard one. And in order to enable the journey and experiments, John decided to start building a new board, and he starts reading documentation and how to configure it, but thanks God he found a possibility to convert already existing one, so old board, to new one without doing any configuration. And it was great because actually he just saved a lot of time on configuration, so we just use this option and got absolutely the same board. You see the same statuses like before, and absolutely the same items were here. But there is one important thing on this board. We don't see any planning capability, but John and the team wanted to do for improvement with small steps and avoid some fundamental change. Sorry, I'm just closing my window because thunderstorm started outside, and they wanted to continue doing sprints without any limitations, and the board provided a solution for this. You see that for each sprint it would be possible to create swim lane, and for each swim lane we can visualize the scope of our sprint and make focus using swim lanes here. In addition to that, the board provide possibility to create new sprint. You can just put mouse over between two sprints and create new one, and choose like original board, choose new sprint, and new boards could be created right from here. So no need to jump into some different place. Also, on the swim lane, John found possibilities to complete sprint, start a newly created sprint. So all functionality was there. But what about planning? So planning mode needs to be somehow enabled, and instead of classic planning mode, John found possibility to expand column to planning view, and for each column could be transformed to this backlog style view, where we can easily move item to the sprint, and by doing so we can simulate planning exercise. So, and when we will be doing so, sprint value will be assigned to the ticket under the hood, so we don't need to be worried about this, and everything could be done out of the box. But what about our capacity? So if we have enough work, or maybe we overplanned our sprint, so solution for this problem was also found by enabling statistic. We can configure board statistic using various measures. So it could be for issue count, it could be story points, and in our case it's story points, and we can see the amount of story points in each cell or in each swim lane. So we see that in this swim lane it was 23 story points, and in this one 30. So then we a little bit overplanned, so maybe we would need to drop the item out of there to keep it 25. So it's again helped a lot, and we can see duplication of 25 story points here as well. So again, yeah.
Yuri, sorry to interrupt you. Could you zoom in just a little bit so the people watching can actually see a little bit more of the screen, like the details on the screen is a little bit hard to see. So if you can zoom in just a smidge.
What about now?
There we go.
Yeah, because
that's pretty good.
Yeah, I already zoomed, and I think it was not good enough, but yeah, thank you very much for feedback. And if you see that something is not visible, feel free to tell about this. So yeah, you see that those items are here, so we can see 25, and actually we can see statistic in each cell, so we can tell, okay, how many story points in progress, or maybe if, like make whatever we want intersection of different values, and make proper statistic here. And also it was quite interesting. If you don't mind, I will a bit zoom out, Jan, just to show bigger picture. And also the team found quite nice and handy extra features that improved usability. First thing, in Jira, if you want to create a task, you need to create it from here, and after that specify some fields like write values, choose it, and only after that the item will appear on the board somehow in some position, and you need to remember what you would like to put to make this item to be appeared exactly in this position on the board. In advanced Kanban board, you need just to choose the place. So for instance, in new sprint, I want to make something already in testing. So for no props, I can just create such item, and this item will be automatically created here, and it will appear on the board. So I don't need to remember all this permutation of the fields which I need to fill. And actually, it's like in for good old school whiteboard, when we just put in sticky note in exact place, and we don't think about some tool inside and behind the scenes. So actually it was quite good, and also the people found very useful ability to update values right from the card. So if you want to assign it, not a problem, you just kind of click here and it will be assigned. Also, if we want to change priority, okay, not a problem. Plus we can jump to board configuration, and on the board configuration we can choose what we want to see on the card and what we want to hide, and keep only relevant items here. Just again to tailor our card like an old good whiteboard with classic sticky notes. And yeah, and people like it a lot. So having this board, the team starts thinking about some low-hanging fruits, like in normal life. So do something simple to show the value, so get to be energized and motivated to continue. And the first low-hanging fruit was ability to define personal VIP for the people. So we could be able to choose columns for which this VIP will be assigned, also define it for each team member. And having that and configuring it, team immediately found that one of team member was a little bit overloaded, and he was multitasking. In order to see what the task has been assigned here, we can click at this warning, see the name of the person, and we can click on the button to see a task of this person. And right from here, we could, okay, not this one, let's take this one. And right from here, we can assign a task to somebody else to offload a person from this work in progress and just reduce VIP and in general make better balancing of the work. So it was the first low-hanging fruit which helped the team in their journey, and it was one of the first experiment moving in this direction. Plus, the good increment was migrating from old board, from old tooling to new tooling in the least painful way. So it was a good increment. Also, right from the board, the team could be able to create new columns and define new statuses like this one. And this generated idea, so why we should not visualize better our flow in order to understand where do we have some problems in this flow, where the items are stacking, and better visualize it from idea till production to avoid sub-optimization, because we wanted to be focused on the whole value creation flow. And if we can in such easy way to create the columns, why we should not create them? And it was second increment. And on second increment, and John with the team visualized the full flow and start seeing better where the items are getting to be stacked. Plus, if we have a lot of columns, and if we have a bigger zone, we sometimes may lose the full picture, and we need to scroll a lot, and again it's not very convenient. So it would be possible to use this zoom selector right from here in order to be able to make zoom in and zoom out, and change our focus according to our needs. So if we want to see what is moving on in general, or maybe just drill down to each particular item. Also, for the team, with John started setting up min-max work in progress, but actually it was also available in old board, and it was good. Yeah, so it was already working like this. From this point of view, the team start analyzing what potential delays might be associated to current flow. And first finding and first idea about experiment was uncertainty about common understanding about what do we mean for moving from one status to another one. What would be our exit criteria? And the team start creating them, and in this board it would be possible to define exit criteria. And if we forget about them, we can always put mouse over the header and see what is the exit criteria for each status. So actually it was good because we increased alignment, and the team start working in a more synergical way. After that, when we created such thing, we wanted to see what time do we spend in column, and we enabled this feature on the board, so we could be able to see stuck items which were waiting for quite a long time to be there. And when we understood some time in status, plus we can see that in some columns we have a lot of items in progress, we John, well, not we, John with the team, of course, start thinking, okay, what is the root cause, like why so? And they found interesting thing. First thing that some items are blocked, and we could be able to flag them with blocked item. And if you put mouse over impediment, you can see reason. You see this reason blocked. It's not like random message. It's what I was written in the comment before when it was blocked. So you don't need to open it for details like in classic Jira to see reason of blocked. You see that now it's blocked, and it's immediately showed when I put in mouse over this flag item. So again, we're reducing clicks, and we making the work more seamless, and do not waste time on non-value add activities. And second thing was more interesting. Some items has been blocked by another items. And we need somehow to understand dependency. Of course, we could be able to open each item and see, do we have any links? Yes, no. Okay, so like again, some overhead. And John found quite useful functionality. And with this functionality, it would be possible to draw dependency between the tasks. Let's imagine that this one is dependent to this one. So we just move it from here to here, choose dependency type like blocking, clones, duplicates. Okay, let's keep it blocking. And this dependency will be shown on the board so that we immediately can see all dependency, and we could be able to understand what items do we have on the board and to what they depends. And even unfortunately don't have it right now, but if we see if we have some dependency to items outside the board, we will also have some indicators that we dependent to something outside the board. So we can always see it on the board, and we will build a very good information radiator to provide this information to the team with minimal effort. And in the same way, like it could be edited, it could be removed. I can just drop this dependency, it will disappear from here. And it was a good point because the next experiment was acting towards eliminating blockers and streamlining the flow, that everything will be moving smoothly without any of blockers and so on and so forth. And in order to increase visibility, John with the team decided to define some color coding and visualize what type of blockers do they have. And in parallel, John with the team starts thinking about type of work. So in the past, they has been using only stories. So you can see it on this initial board. And they found that they have a different type of work. It could be technical task, it could be user story, it could be bug. And they created different color coding for those items as well. So then if I will zoom in, so we could be able to see those tiny bars from the left side, and those tiny bars will indicate the type of the task which will be shown on the board. So again, it increased visibility and helped to apply different types of work for, or maybe some different principles for different type of work. Okay, so then it was a good increment and it was good improvement, but still it was just beginning of the journey, and new experiments are coming. And on the next inspect and adapt session, John and the team understood that there are no much visibility about what is the real status of this item. So like development, is it like already development, or is already developed and waiting for the testing? So like we have very small visibility on doing done statuses. So then the next experiment was around introduction doing done statuses, and John with the team start moving in this direction. So they created doing done sub statuses for each main status, and used grouping functionality where we could be able to group various statuses into the group. And when we got the groups, or okay, not we, John and the team, of course, we could, they could be able to, they could be able to define sophisticated combined work in progress limit. So at the same time, we could be able to limit work in progress on doing done or any other one. So the groups are not limited to 2 items. We can pack into one group whatever amount we want, and there are absolutely 0 limitations, just to mention it. Also, yeah, let me zoom in a bit. And also, we could be able to assign a work in progress limit on the whole group. So, for instance, if we have only 3 developers, maybe we don't need to put in development bigger amount, or like some similar case. So you can see that, for instance, development has maximum work in progress limit 3, and it will be red if it will be exceeded, and actually it's exceeded. So we see that it's obviously more than 3 items here. And at the same time, for doing, we created a minimal 1 that's like something will be in progress, so people need to do some meaningful job, and also maximum 3, and we assigned this color. I cannot explain how is this, maybe like deep water on Tahiti or something like that color, and by using this color we can see that work in progress exceeded for doing, and you can see that it's like combine it all together. So then the team got a possibility to flexibly combine different work in progress limit on column and column group in order to better optimize the flow and desirable conditions on the board. So, and actually it was very good, because it significantly improved visibility and helped better manage potential delays and impediments on the board. So it was quite good. And at this moment of time, John starts thinking about some next step, and about some other improvements which may be done. And before that, John with the team noticed that they have different type of work. And actually, at the moment, the flow was quite described. Yeah? I will zoom out a bit to see it bigger. By the way, I just wanted to mention one more thing before we move on, that also if we have such a long board like I have, it's not needed to see all the items here. You can always collapse all the items and be able to see color coding, and now you can see I have this one red. So what is it? Is development. You can expand one item, you can expand and collapse them in absolutely different combination, which will represent your need. So if you want to be focused on some subset of the flow, you can, for instance, keep development and testing, and all other things you can collapse. If some product people will come, they maybe not very interested in testing, they will be thinking about ideas and about requirements preparation. So you can just always tailor the view which you will be looking for, and you can do the same with columns. You could be able, swim lanes, you could be able to collapse swim lanes as well. So, and in the most collapsed way, it will be getting to be a super minimalistic board, but you will see numbers, how many items or how many story points. In this case, I already get rid of story points at this board and using numbers of items, and I can see how many items in each cell, and we could be able to again maintain understanding what is going on without diving too much to detail, so, or like expand everything. So again, this flexibility helped to maintain proper focus. So then this next experiment, which I already announced and stop explaining about it, let's move to this experiment. So John and the team already understood that they have different type of work, and they started thinking about measuring lead time and ability to plan based on lead time for all the items, instead of running through sprint-based planning and estimating everything in story points. So what does it mean? That they could be able to stop using sprints, and instead of that, they will use lead time planning, and they will make swim lanes free for some other purposes, to be able to define different classes of services, or maybe just define subset of items to be focused on them, some important things, and so on and so forth. In order to do so, John can just open column configuration and change swim lanes configuration from sprint, like it was before. And by the way, for swim lane and for column, we can assign any standard and custom field. So we are not limited. It's like matrix, which could be composed from whatever we want. And in our configuration, we maintain status as column. And for swim lanes, instead of sprint, like it was before, we just decided to experiment with priority. So why not? First experiment with priority, just to visualize the blockers, the blocked items, and be focused on understanding why blockers are happening and eliminating such unplanned blocked items. And as a result, we got the same board, but you see now, instead of sprints, we see here blockers. And again, some usability of improvement in comparison to standard Jira boards. That in Jira board, we are not allowed just to move item to some swim lane, so it's always just for visualization. And here it's absolutely not a problem. So let's imagine that we are working on this item and we decide that it's blocker for us. We can just move it here, and you see that priority has been automatically updated. Again, good old school whiteboard with sticky notes, like absolutely no limitation, just moving like that, and that's it. Also, for having good possibility, the John and the team decided to experiment about understanding of why such items are blockers, why they need to do it immediately, and first of all, limited also work in progress for the whole swim lane. So just mention that, okay, we don't want to have more than 2 blockers. So because blockers is a bad, so then let's limit it first, not eliminate evil, just reduce this evil. And having that, they start using it like this and start experimenting further with the functionality. Also, I would like to mention that in this configuration, we were focused on Kanban use case, but also the same tool could be used for a lot of different use cases, to use it for story mapping, for estimation, for version planning, and a lot of different use cases. And it's connected to the fact that you can assign to columns any field, standard and or custom in Jira, so and not making any limitation. And the same for swim lanes. So then you can invent a lot of use cases. When you have a need to use some whiteboard, you can use this board and it will help to represent data from Jira. And John and his team started improving this process further, and maybe we can just get back to John and to his challenge and see what was happened since that time. So first of all, John migrated from this board, like very simple and standard one, from classic process to more advanced. Of course, it's not like ideal one, and perfection is not the final destination. It's direction, and the team started experimenting what they learned during Kanban University course, so that this core value was always with the team. So they start experimenting, but it providing much better visibility comparing to previous one. So it was, I think, obvious. Also, this improved flow helped to understand plenty of obstacles on the way and help to decrease waste and increase efficiency, throughput, and also decrease time to market. Also, they start working with small batches of quicker react on the changes and so on and so forth. Also, John and his team has been recognized by managers, and they got opportunity to start transforming other teams and sharing their experience to bring this mindset to another teams in organization and scale it up on all levels of the company and all another teams and on management level as well. And also, during this presentation, we wanted to show that you can start experimenting right now and also getting top level and top-notch education from Kanban University, and also with experiments you can achieve improvements all the time, and no need to wait till experiments. So experiments could be started even tomorrow, or maybe even today if it's morning from your side. And from this side, each experiment should be supported by proper tooling, and of course using good mindset, for good values and proper tool set can enable you in this very good journey. And on June example, we show that how it might be working, and yeah, actually I think it's end of our story with happy end, and I hope that you will have your happy ends in the future, and this knowledge may help you to achieve your happy end in your context. So we are done with main section, and we could be able to move to a question and answer session. Thank you for your attention, and thank you for listening, and hope my movement in the video was not making you very stressed.
Yeah, thanks, Yuri. And for those who are watching, Yuri probably is on his 8th or 10th cup of coffee right now, because it's later his time. He's in the Ukraine. So it might be he's a little bit jazzed up on coffee. So thanks so much, Yuri, for this awesome presentation and demo of your product. We still have a number of questions to get through, actually. Yuri Lapin actually was able to answer a number of these questions, 22 total so far. We've got 7 open. So we may want to switch to just live, sharing the answers in real time here, if that's okay with you guys. And so do we want to jump into first with Mara Spina? She asked, does this app solve the problem of providing cycle and lead time metrics at various confidence levels, 85%, 70%, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I can take it. So the application is still at very early stage of its development, and we wanted to increase our work in progress and be focused on flow management from very beginning, so that the metric is a bit outside of our current agenda. So we would suggest to use another Jira apps to take metrics out of this. We will be working on the metrics, so it's in our agenda, but for the next year, and we have a lot of requests and a lot of ideas about improving current flow management capabilities, and when we will reach some level which we will be more or less satisfied with, and satisfied requests from our clients, we could be able to move to metrics as well.
Awesome. So in the future, basically, it's coming up, Mara. Hang on, they are going to work on it.
Yeah, and now we suggest to use alternative add-on, and we could be able to advise good examples that has very sophisticated Kanban metrics set. So then, yeah.
Awesome. And so Chasen actually has a couple of questions here. Is it possible to show how Confluence can be used in conjunction with Jira or Kanban boards? Do we have something like that?
In our board, we can use absolutely all capabilities that is available in Jira in general. So we were not thinking about some specific use cases about usage of Confluence. So of course, it might be a lot of them, but still in the application are supported all standard links to Confluence, and for everything what we have here could be used. We have in mind a few possibilities about, and we will be working on it in nearest future. It's a matter of weeks and by the way, we discussed in Jira about making quick retrospectives and building some results of this. So this is what we are thinking about Confluence usage right now, but everything what we have in Jira could be used here as well. So
awesome. So basically native features are built in already. If we want to do more with it, that's down the road in their planning. Basically, they may actually do something more with that. Great.
And by the way, I would like to mention one more thing. We are trying to be very client driven and listen to real use cases. And if you have some ideas during trial, always feel free to ask a question or suggest a feature. And by doing so, you will be forwarded to our service desk, and every question will be answered in 24 hours. And each suggestion will be elaborated, and in case of we found it useful for the product and we have some resonation among the clients, we will add it to the backlog, and in this ticket provide ETAs when it will be implemented.
Awesome. Thank you, Yuri. And by the way, the folks who are asking these questions, we're going to get to all your questions today, so don't worry, we'll answer them all here in this session right now. So Jason had another question. Who changes the whip limit in swim lanes and columns? Is it done by the individual team member, by the Agile coach, Scrum Master, SDM? Who has access to modify whip limit?
At the moment, we don't have any permission management model. So like full openness, all the boards are visible to everybody. So like everybody can see it and everybody could be able to configure them. So from some cases, it might produce some issues if somebody will be changing somebody else's configuration. And we have this year of functionality to limit permissions and make it more configurable. So we're getting several such requests. But yeah, at the moment, everybody can do so. There are some parameters that are connected to user context. So for instance, enablement of dependency, statistic, for zoom, for representation of the columns, if they expand, collapse, and so on and so forth. And there are some items that are stored inside the board, like all the configuration, quick filters, grouping, and everything what is in setting tab. So then, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, great. Thanks so much, Yuri. That's really good. So basically right now, anyone can do it, just like a whiteboard. And eventually you might pull back some permissions on that and only let certain people do it. But for now, wide open, which is fine. Okay, so Tanner actually has a question. Is it possible to limit the width for several columns in the board instead of doing done?
Yeah, exactly.
So limiting the width, yeah.
I can just kind of collect, for instance, randomly to do in progress in testing, and I can limit work in progress here and put, I don't know, like 3 items for the whole aggregate. So then it's fully flexible, and if it's what you're asking about.
Yeah, that's their question. That's exactly what they were looking for. So they wanted to see if they could do like a bigger width limit, which is the answer is yes, you can. Okay, Chaitan has another question here. We can't see what the speaker, okay, never mind. Sorry, Chaitan, we actually finished that. So we may zoom in here and there. He was asking about zooming in or flipping through things. So we kind of answered that one. Then another person asked, when I said it once, all of them will be able to see it. So that's from Dimitri, I believe. So if you could add a little bit more context to that question, that would be great. So we can
I think it's connected to permission.
I think the better question is like as a permission or the configuration. So once the board is set up, probably the whole team actually they see the same or not the same, or any permission model here.
Right, so it's back to permission model, and will they be able to see things that have changed? So far, I think it's like there isn't really a serious permission model on this right now, which is completely fine. It just means people can see what the configuration is, make a change to it. They can also see the outcome of that configuration on their screen. Everyone can see that, which that's transparent, right? We kind of like that here at Kanban University. So hopefully that answers the question. And then Chaitan actually asked another question. How do you make process policies explicit in the Kanban board? I think you showed that, right, Yuri? Where you actually show that the screen is up there with a policy?
Yeah, I think about,
yeah.
Maybe you can just jump to another board, and on this board we could be able to define some policies or some criteria, and on each column you could be able to define it in description, and after that the description could be visible by putting mouse over column name.
Yeah, and that's basically what we're looking for the most part when it comes to the policies that are explicit. Okay, and then Mara had another question here. Okay, question about Kanban University. What about this app makes you support it as an add-on to Jira? So it is an app that actually aligns closely to what we look for when we train people in the Kanban method. So we do 2 different courses in the Kanban method that might kind of map to what they're doing here. One is the Kanban System Design course. Another one is the Kanban Systems Improvement course. Both of them focus on improving your visualization to get more out of your workflow, to understand your delays, to see what's going on in terms of metrics, to help you improve the flow of your work, possibly quality as well, and also to find bottlenecks and deal with those. And there's a lot more that we teach, but that's kind of the core stuff right there to begin with, Mara. And for us, that's why we think of it as a valuable relationship here, to say, how do we help people who are in Jira, who are kind of dealing with Jira as it is? It's not a bad tool. It could be better. I'm sure a lot of my friends right now are screaming on their webinar, but that's okay. I can't hear you, just let you know. But the point is, it could use some help. And these guys have built an app that actually, I think, helped Jira move more in the direction that we see a lot of organizations wanting to go in when they're using the Kanban method. So that's why we think it's valuable here to have these guys here to support us. So I hopefully answered your question there. Rahul, what are the different kinds of waste John identified to improve the faster value delivery? This is a question for the two Yuris. It's around what kind of ways did John identify to improve the faster delivery? What did he find?
Yeah, actually, in our case, the first thing about visualization is the full flow, and because with previous process, it was not clear what is done before the items are coming to development, and seeing the full flow for help to better see what is the size of the backlog. And by the way, you may see a lot of endless backlogs in Scrum teams that has been created, and the team need to elaborate it all the time and spending time on this. Also, another thing that for having for proper work in progress avoided people to do a lot of things in parallel, and having this the team decreased the time, because usually for people in the most optimal case, like taking one item per one person, but in the best case it might be several people will be working by one backlog item, yeah, and just to increase the speed. And in some cases the people what we have seen from our experience, one person taking several tasks because something is blocked and they taking another one. So in another world, optimizing utilization instead of looking at throughput. And this view and using the board can help to visualize the full flow, and also be able to be focused on throughput of the items, on lead time, because like lead time, it was perception from the client, and they don't need to know how good you are utilize it. They need to know that when the request will be done and how quick it will be implemented.
Excellent.
So
okay,
it's it's the main thing, but actually, and also dependency. By the way, dependency is also a very painful thing. The people are quite often do not see dependency, and even when we're getting back, for instance, to sprints or something like that, that people are taking some items, and only after that they understand that something is blocked. And after that, they just get into be blocked and solving dependency. And this time is like still moving. And we also break an expectation of some stakeholders who are waiting for this task, because they were not aware about the fact that we will have some blockers on the way.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Yuri. Leonardo had a quick request. Can you show us grouping one more time? How you group columns, the doing done piece, where it has like doing and done.
Yeah, so actually what we can do, we would need first to edit all statuses or granular statuses to the board by using this plus button. So we just editing all of them, including doing done. After that, we could be able to adjust name of the status by using custom title. So like in our case, for my status might have a bit different name, but I just provide meaningful name by using title. After that, I will get like doing done statuses arranged in proper way. And after that, I'm creating it groups, and I'm choosing the statuses, like the first group of doing done statuses, which I want to group. And after that, I'm telling that, for instance, development. And after that, I will edit the group, and the group will appear here. And for instance, again, I can like rename it now, like doing, like map it, and for instance, done.
Yeah.
But
nice.
again, it's under the hoods is using Jira statuses, so you can create some subset of Jira statuses with translation any to any, and after that we could be able to like combine them as we want on this board and arrange in proper flow.
Excellent. Awesome. So Mara has a question for us. She said, if a dev is looking at the Jira assigned to them, it looks just like native Jira, correct? Is that right? If you're a developer?
Actually, maybe it was connected to personal VIP point when we have possibility to see what was assigned to developer. But I would like to mention that it was presented in the context when somebody has exceeded work in progress limit. So you see, this one is appearing only in the case when for this person, like from Ruslan, let me just unassign it. So for now, when I click here, I see empty list because all personal limits are fine. Now for Ruslan, we are exceeding exceeding personal work in progress limit, and he will appear in this list. And only when I click here, I see what work in progress limits I exceeded for him.
Yeah, and
So,
I believe there's like a place that maybe Mara is also thinking about, the place where you go inside Jira where it's your individual view of something. I don't know if they have that
we can
kind
use,
of thing.
Yeah, we can use quick filters, and we have also in backlog functionality to replicate what Jira has with for tailoring the view per person. So to be able to generate it in an automatic way, and it's again in backlog for the next couple of months.
Yeah, awesome. So I think that's probably the answer that we can give Mara here for this one. She had one more to ask as well. It was, I see on the Atlassian site that this could be used for big room planning. So could each swim lane be a team's commitment when planning for the next quarter?
Everything could be. So there are like full flexibility. So you could be able to use any field to arrange it. If for some reason field will not be sufficient, you can create a GQL query. Okay, I will not be doing it because it will drop all my content here. You can make GQL-based columns, and by using this GQL-based columns, you could be able to show whatever you want, and it will be super flexible. Only one thing, if you are using GQL, you will lose possibility to move the item, because when you have GQL, we don't know what to assign to this ticket, because GQL is like not reversible. So, and we recommend you to use some statuses, because you could be able to drop items from like from one PI to another PI, from one quarter to another quarter, and it will be automatically reassigned in Jira. So then maybe if we can, share your case in support, and we can be able to answer you in support ticket.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds like a great question from Mara. So it might be a little bit more detail, Mara, that they can give you on a one-on-one session. So Jim actually asked this really interesting question. Can you show what the dependency mapping arrows look like when the dependent items are both in the same column? Do you have a way to do that briefly to show what that looks like?
Yeah, it's absolutely has zero limitation. So maybe one step back. Jira has ability to link to items. Like we have links, so I can just open it, click link, and make is blocked, and choose some other item and create link. So then this link will be created inside Jira. It's core functionality. But the problem is that this link will not be visible on the board anywhere. And now, for instance, if I have a link to something outside the board, it will show like invisible link. I can make link to the item in the same column, and this link will be created like this. And it's again, if exit and entrance depends to direction of the link, because the links are bidirectional, and we can do it in two ways, like this one, for instance. Some like dance. And when we will open a Jira issue for this, we could be able to see that all native links will be created. So why it's important? Because by doing so, we will maintain support of any other applications and all other Jira core functionality, which is based on the link. So we just very deeply integrate into the ecosystem by this.
I like this. I like this. It's their problem, right? It's like we're stuck with these two guys, right?
Exactly.
First pointing fingers. So great.
Who is delaying the
like
work?
So you can definitely do quite a bit there. So Chetan had one more question, and I think we have one more from Mara that we probably didn't quite ask correctly. So Chetan's first question here is, how do we know if a team member is working on more cards than defined in the WIP limit? Can you please show one more time where you define WIP limit on the Kanban board?
Yeah, exactly. So what I'm doing now, I just, for instance, maybe step back. So I'm clicking at personal WIP button, and now I can see two. This means that I have two rules created. On this screen, I could be able to define columns where the WIP limit is applied. So I don't want to apply WIP limit for ideas, right? So I want to apply it only for some actions, like for instance, in testing and done. Okay, I don't know why it's like this, but maybe because we just renamed it on previous exercise. And after that, I am adding people for whom I want to assign work in progress limit, personal one. And I am adding, okay, let's add it like, for instance, Sergey. And I am telling, okay, Sergey should not be idle. So I want for him to be busy all the time. So I'm just control freak. And also, I don't want that he will take more than 2 items. So then I put in work in progress limit 2. And when I will save it, and if I see that for Sergey, I have exceeded work in progress limit, because he just maybe doing a lot of items, and all the time I could be able to check. It's like min, so like he's not busy, so and it's min, and I can see that nothing is assigned to him. But for instance, if I will assign a lot of things to Sergey, so for instance, I assigned one item to him, you see that he disappeared because minimal work in progress limit is not appearing anymore. I assign something else to Sergey. I won't like make him super busy. And now I will see that he will appear in this list like overloaded person, and I can monitor. So then from this menu, we are making configuration. From this one in orange, we getting alerts that in work in progress limit is exceeded.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, great. That probably answers the question for Chetan. I see that Mara's question is getting answered by Yuri. So let's jump down to the brief little question about pricing. If I want to use a single project of my company, a team of 7 users, will it be free or will it be based on the size of the entire company? This is kind of an interesting question. I think Yuri Lapin's actually answering it right now. So
yeah, I can do it. You're lucky one. So the app is free for all the teams before 10 users. So if your organization is less than 10 users, it's absolutely free. I also encourage you to check all the other apps on the marketplace. This is a standard program from Atlassian. Atlassian is free for the users less than for the clients less than 10 kind of people. And most of the app vendors also supporting it. So actually, you can probably use all the apps on the marketplace for free.
And it should be exactly up to 10 Jira tier. So like how many do you have in the whole Jira? Yeah, because if you, for instance, you have a team of 7 people and the whole Jira is for 500 people, then just this rule will not work. So just to mention it.
Yeah, Jira is what it is in this case when it comes to licensing. And there was one final question from Chetan. Basically, is there any additional special plugin to create an advanced dashboard in Jira?
It's our application, and you could be able to find it at the marketplace, and it's also available, as John has found it on the partners page of Kanban University. And you would need to use this plugin, and we created this plugin exactly for this purpose, because in our case, when we were working in the field, we saw a gap, and we have not found solution, and we decided to create a solution by ourselves. Yeah, this one is here, and we may share the link as well.
So just for you guys to know, we will be sending out links to everyone here who attended or who registered for the webinar. So you'll get links to the recording. You'll get links to this product itself. You can we'll also include links to both Yuri's LinkedIn profiles in case you wanted that. So I see some people wanted that as well. I think that brings us to a close. Priscilla, I see you have a question about certifications using Jira. Absolutely, they have it. I haven't looked into it a whole lot, but I know Atlassian has quite a bit of education and training for their own product. I'm sure that these guys would be happy to help you out with them. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to them directly through LinkedIn or through their emails, which we'll also provide to you through this email that we're sending out probably tomorrow at this point in time. So thank you all, by the way, for joining us today. This has been great, by the way, both Yuri Kudin and Yuri Lapin. I'm really glad that you guys are here today to share with us your product. Record speed in terms of getting it all shown in the amount of time that we had available. So again, look forward to seeing you guys online. And for those of you who attended, please keep track of us, stay with our newsletter, because you're going to find that we're going to be talking more about Kanban and technology as time goes on. All right, so that's it, guys. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for having us. Enjoy it.
Thank you for patience staying for 1 hour with us. Yeah, thanks.
All right, take care.
Bye.